Today we're here at Myrtle Creek Vineyards with Matt Sherman. He is the owner of winemaker of this wonderful establishment, and we are going to learn more about making wine. So Matt, can you tell us more about your business and how you got started?
I got started back in the day. I used to be an owner of Myrtle Creek Nursery at the time. Now they call it the Gardens. It was the family business. It was me, my mom, my dad, my brother, my sister. But when the economy tanked, we had to find another revenue stream. So I was the kid who got the job of go figure out the winery, because at that same time, San Diego County had passed the boutique winery ordinance. So you get to do it as long as you do what the county says. And so I'm kind of limited on how much I can produce, but it's still more than I want to produce. I want to stay small. Anyway, I got kind of shoved into it and then just fell in love with it. Started making wine in 2012 at home. It's another story.
That's what you learned.
But anyway, yeah, wine was okay for a while until we finally managed to ruin it, because you just play with it too much and you went, okay. You learn what to do and what not to do. So second time around was much better, and as time has progressed here, it's gotten better and better and better. Finally, about 2014, that vintage of wine that I made, I'm like, okay, this is good enough to sell commercially. So yeah, so it took a couple years, but we got there. And even now, still as we go each year, it gets better and better. I learn more and more. And I get better equipment, and so I've done this on a budget, and I'm really small, as you can see. So
yeah.
I don't buy from a whole lot of people at this point. Like there's Dennis, and Joe Ram, you know him.
Oh, they use our stuff too.
Yep. So those two guys, and then there's one other guy, Fred Sohegan, where I get my cab from. That's what we just bottled today.
So how do you choose which vineyard you're going to collect wine from, or is it just friends, or they come show you what they have?
Most of the time, now that the tasting room's open, like before the tasting room was open, I couldn't find grapes to save my life. I mean, there was just, nothing, it wasn't a lot out there. But it turns out there is. It's just, they didn't know who I was, they didn't know how to find me, I didn't know how to find them.
Right.
Christina's helped with some of that with her little wine growers group. That's really helping a lot too. Basically, they'll approach me in the tasting room and say, "Oh, I got this or that. Would you be interested?" And I'm sure. I'll look at anything. So I'll go out and look at their vineyards and kind of say, "Okay, they look like they know what they're doing." And some of them, like it's beautiful with Joe and Dennis, because they pretty much say, "Whatever you want, we'll do it." Okay,
Oh yes, Dennis was saying you get to choose the.
I decide when we pick, and he's always like, "Come look at it." So I cruise their vineyards, every couple of weeks just to see what's going on and see how they're doing.
It's like a partnership.
Yeah, pretty much. So it's cool. Like for me, it's like, oh, it's so nice to be able to have that, to be able to call the ball when we're picking and do all that stuff.
Yeah.
Because they, a lot of times, especially new growers, you panic and you pick too soon. Because you're just worried about it. You're worried about it. And I've done it, so I know.
Yeah, so there's a trust.
Yeah. So it's like, I've done that same thing where I pick too soon. And it's just because you panic, you're worried you're going to lose everything. But it's kind of like a poker game. You just got to, first guy to flinch loses. So you just got to hang in there.
Great.
Yeah. So.
What about, and I didn't have a chance to ask you this earlier, because they are using our micro tea and our earthworm castings. And I was wondering if you noticed anything different with their grapes compared to other grapes out there with your years of experience?
Yeah, like last year was super tough because we didn't have much of a winter.
Right.
So it was like things started to bud out in February, and then we got even a little late frost.
Yeah.
So it was pretty tough. Like most of my vineyards, like production was way down. Where these two guys, Joe and Dennis, they were right where they were at last year, and the fruit was awesome.
Wow.
I mean, it was beautiful.
Okay, because they were telling me this, that it was better than any other year. And I'm like, okay, well, let's also hear it from the guys. See, everybody's feel this. You can't just grade your own.
Right, and just not just me, even my employees and everything. When we were processing it, going through the crusher to stemmer, they were like, "This is the prettiest stuff we've seen so far this year." And it was the best stuff we had all year. Like it was better than my stuff. So
okay, I'm gonna quote you on this.
Yeah, I think definitely the worm tea has something.
Okay.
Yeah, I've actually started doing some foliar spray with it this year. So.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So basically, when fruit's ripe, we run a number of different tests. You know, we're looking at sugar, which we call BRIX, and we're looking at the pH, and we're looking at the acid in the grape, and then we're tasting the grape, see what it tastes like. I'm a small guy, so I don't have a ton of expensive equipment to run some of, a lot of guys run really pretty serious panel. I do all the basic stuff, but you also want to taste it, look at the seeds. Okay, you decide it's time. So we pick it, when it comes in here, we bring it in bins half that size. So there's a difference between red and white in the way we handle white grapes. They'll come in and we'll go straight to the press. And so that's a hydraulic, that's a press. So it's got a big giant rubber bladder in here that expands. You hook it up to the hose and it fills with water and presses the grapes against this and the juice comes out.
Oh!
So you put the grapes inside here and then the bladder expands.
And it
Smushes the air and here comes juice. So with whites, we're just fermenting just juice. So some guys will crush them and let them sit on the skins for 4 hours to a day or two, but I've tried that. I didn't like that as much. So I just go straight to juice, we'll press it. And then once we kind of get the solids settled out of it, that's when we start a fermentation, and we ferment that in a stainless steel tank like this. We will actually have a cooling snake that goes in there because with the whites, and a rosé is the same thing. We treat it the same, except for rosé is just a red grape that we're treating with a white grape, and that's what makes rosé. That's the way we do it. There's different ways to do it, but that's the way we do it. And so we keep it cool. So we're fermenting at 50 degrees. So it's a really slow ferment. And then once it's done, we let it stop stirring, let it settle out. We may stir it a few more times, but we'll keep continually changing tanks to get all the stuff that falls out. And then at some point when we decide, okay, it's ready, it'll age for a little while, then we'll run it through a sterile filter, which will take out any remaining yeast or bacteria or any little microbes that we don't want in there and make it really clean and clear. And then we're ready to bottle at that point. Reds can definitely benefit from more time, for sure. They will spend 1.5 years in the barrel before we bottle. So reds are different. The way we handle the reds is when they come in, we'll run them through the crusher destemmer and then plump them into a bin like this or in a big tank like that with its temperature control, and then we'll ferment them in that with the skins, the seeds, and a lot of stuff.
And you figured this all out on your own and working with one of their...
Well, I read a lot of books. That's how I initially started. And then I have a friend of mine, Kevin Woodling, he works for Scott Labs. And that's one of the big fermentation suppliers. So his territory is he's up in Napa, some big one.
Okay.
I can call him and go, Kevin, I have a problem, what do I do? And he's got access to all kinds of experts and stuff. So he's helped me out with a few jams. And then finally I decided, I ought to take a class or two and make sure what I'm doing is the right way to do it. So in Temecula, they have the MSJC Junior College program, and they offer about 4 different classes. One's on winemaking, one's on viticulture, growing grapes, one's on winery business, and the other one's on hospitality. And so it was really cool that, for me, it was really beneficial because I'd already been making wine, so I was probably an annoying guy asking too many questions, but it was really helpful.
It came from experience.
Yeah. But yeah, from then on, it's just been experience just doing it.
I mean, it sounds like
it's been
people's
fun.
dream because this is your passion.
I love doing it.
And now you get to do it.
Yeah, love it.
So when we came in, we saw that you were cleaning up, and then you said your sons were here helping you. So what's it been like having this become like a family, business?
I love it. I don't know how much they do, but
they can't really drink it.
No, they can't.
They just get to be part of this business and learning entrepreneurship.
Well, they're making money. That pays them. Like today we bottled. So we did, 72 cases of Cab Sauvignon.
Do you put the labels on there too, or does it?
No, we just bottle them.
Okay.
Because what I have to do,
Can we see what one looks like?
Yeah, I have a longer process because I don't have all the fancy equipment.
Yeah.
So right now they're just blank.
Yeah.
So that's our bottle. This is our bottle filler. So it does 4 bottles at a time.
Oh, and then how do you stick the cork in?
And then the cork, we have these floor corkers.
Oh, each one hand bottle.
Yeah.
Handcrafted.
So yeah, the running jokes with the kids is the name brand on these is Ferrari. Mm-hmm. So I came home one day and said, I bought you boys brand new blue Ferraris.
Each.
Little did they know they were corkers, but this is probably their most favorite job because they're in here, they're in air conditioning. We can blast the music and it's a little more tolerable.
Really good memories.
Where the vineyard stuff, it's hot. it's not near as fun. This is a little easier than running a weed whacker all day.
So how do you get the bottle under there?
So the bottle goes in right here.
Uh-huh.
It's spring loaded. So then you'll put the cork in. You put the cork in here. That one already has one. And then the jaws come and close and squeeze the cork. And then
squeezes it.
And then this piston pushes it down into the bottle. So that's part of the problem with us is that using these style corkers is we have to leave the bottles upright for a little while to let the pressure kind of compensate because the cork will leak a little air. Now, if I had the $8,000 model that has a vacuum on it, we don't have to do that. We can immediately put them upside down, which is what you want to do because you want to keep the cork wet.
Yeah.
And it keeps it swole up. So we have to leave it upright for a week or two and then come back and flip them. So it's a pain.
So double hand.
Yeah, it's more labor, but like I said, I got cheap labor. You boys want to eat or not? No. But no, they do a good job. So yeah, they work in here, they work in the vineyard, just pretty much mostly for the summer.
What sets this winery apart from others?
Well, part of it is when you're looking at it, not many wineries do everything by hand like we do. All our fruit goes through a real small pressure destemmer. It's handled by somebody and looked at by somebody. It's not just dumped by the bin load into a giant machine. We are looking at everything as it goes in and toss anything we don't like. So it's all hand sorted. Like I said, it's hand corked. Everything's done. Somebody's hands are on it all the way through it. And we don't make large volumes. Like Dennis, his Cab Franc is the biggest I've made. So that's 6 barrels. So to someone else, that's a tiny, tiny little batch. But I'm used to making a barrel of this, a barrel of that. So I've made a bunch of different varietals, and I've kind of, at least by doing that, I'm kind of figuring out what I really want to make and what does well around here. So it's been a good experience. Yeah, it's fun, and people. It's interesting because when people come in to taste, we go through stuff pretty quick. Like we've got 25 cases of that. And it's gone in a month or so. So
rare collector edition.
Yeah. So next time they come in, there's something different. But at some point, I gotta make fewer varieties and more volume.
Right. But you're in the experimental phase right now, figuring out what's going to be on your menu.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, and then it helps me decide what I'm growing here. I still have more. I still got about another 4 acres to plant here. Probably more white. I don't get enough white. I can't find white to buy. So the only white I get is what I grow, and I sell out of it every year. So, yeah, that and rosé. Can't make enough rosé yet. You ladies.
We know what we like.
Yeah, that's it. This is the Cab Franc that we got from Dennis that has been raised on the worm tea. We're going to do a little tasting right now. This is a wine thief. Now we'll get it out of the barrel. Got a little hole in the end here. Let me just get it in there and give it a minute to fill up. And create a little vacuum like that. Like a thief, you're stealing wine out of the barrel. So they can be plastic, you can find them in glass. I have a stainless steel one because my intern broke my glass one that I really liked. He bought a stainless steel one. All right, that's fine.
So is this ready, or would you let it wait longer?
This is not even quite a year old yet, so it's got at least another 6 to 8 months in the barrel to go before I bottle it. So yeah, it's still young, but it's getting to the point where you kind of get a good idea of what it's doing, what it tastes like.
Sit down and have a sip. That's nice.
Tastes like a Bing cherry.
Cheers.
Big light cherry. And it's gonna keep changing.
Yeah, it's still young yet, so there's still some green in there. But that'll go away. Not much.
How long would it say in the barrel for you?
We typically go anywhere from 18 months to 2 years. You can go longer. Some guys will go, 3, 4 years. 4 years is, I think you start getting a little too much oxygen mix in it, in my opinion, but that's just my opinion. Everybody's, people always ask you, what's a good wine? Well, I can't tell you what you like. You need to decide what you like, because what I like, you may hate, and what you like, I may hate. And so, yeah, you gotta decide for yourself. Yeah, so it's kind of a style. I try to keep mine a little more fresher, fruitier. I like the fruit to speak for itself, not beat it over the head with a bunch of stuff, and let the fruit be fruit as much as I can. So that's what she appreciates. Being a fruit farmer.
It is nice when somebody actually likes the fruit.
Yeah.
For what it is. Right?
Yeah.
And that's just a carrier of oak.
Yeah. So true. And tannins. Like, a lot of guys just add tannin in every phase. It's just like, add a little at fermentation, just because fermentation eats tannin. And then maybe a little bit just for aging. And once we put it in the barrel, and that's it. After that, we just leave it alone. Let it do its thing.
Could I ask a question about BRIX?
Mm-hmm.
Is there a special number you want for each type of wine, or the sweeter the better, or how do you decide?
Well, basically, the more sugar that's in it, I do everything dry. I don't do sweet wines. So, just for the fact that to do sweet wine, you got to put garbage in it to keep it from fermenting in the bottle, and that's chemicals I don't want to use.
Oh. I didn't know that.
Alkaliness. You fumigate your house with that. You don't put it in your wine,
Oh my
but
God.
they do put it in wine. You can't drink it for 2 days after you dose it, and you have to have a licensed guy on the bottling line doing it. So I decided sweet wine, no thanks. But it basically kills everything in it, so it'll be completely stable after that. But the more sugar we have, typically the higher the alcohol. Now there'll be some sugars that will form that will be less fermentable, so they won't all get eaten up and turned into alcohol, and that's why you kind of get some of these big alcoholic wines that are fruit bombs, like they're really fruity and jammy, because there's sugars in there that won't ferment. So that's what gives it kind of that sweet taste, but it really isn't. It is dry, it's fermented, but all the sugar that will ferment did ferment. So it depends. I'm kind of crazy that I like them big. I like big red wines, so I'll go as long as I can stand it. And as long as it tastes good. Like, you can get to a point sometimes where, like, Grenache, if you get too high on Grenache, it can get hot. Like, it'll taste alcoholic, really kind of hot. Whereas other stuff like, Zin and other bigger reds, so they can handle it. Syrah can handle it. I had a Zin with 19.1 once. I had to, no, it was Primitivo. I had to cut it with Zin to get it down to 16. Yeah.
And that's important because you pay taxes relative to alcohol.
What?
Yeah. Like
Tax you based on how
Yeah.
alcoholic it is?
Yeah. You pay a different rate depending on how much. They simplified it though. Now it's 16% and above or 16 below.
Oh, nice.
So they
That's
up
good.
the ante a bit.
Is there anything else that you wanted to add?
We're a boutique winery. We're open, Saturday and Sunday from noon to 5. Come see us. We're really friendly, easy to get along with. We're not a pretentious winery. If you want to just come hang out and you want to learn about wine, we're happy to, I do this all the time where people, oh, how does it go?
Right.
They can come see this at any time when we're open, and I'll run them through how we do stuff. And so for people who are eager to learn about wine and stuff like that, it's a great place to come.
Awesome.
We're happy to do it.
Yeah, you can check out their website. I'm going to put it in the links below. And you can see that they have events throughout the year, so you can come and visit a small boutique winery.
Yeah, we have a wine
In Fallbrook.
we have a wine and cheese pairing on Saturday, and it's sold out. It sells out every time. It's got me throwing cheese on the